Hi there. Merry Christmas. It's almost Christmas time. Is anyone feeling the spirit? Not yet, but it's okay. Cause Christmas is all about what you give away. It's not about taking, but giving anyway. Oh, Heather's hot, we'll go all the way. If you've watched How I Met Your Mother, you'll know what I'm about to say. Hey, okay. Welcome to the Intuitive Podcast. Today, I am joined by no one, by a great program, because the Intuitive Podcast is changing a little bit. And this episode is all about changing your identity. Because God, some of us need to. Okay, so I said that the format is going to be a little different. And it is because today I have a program. Professionally on a post-it note. So, what are we going to do today? We're going to talk about changing your identity. Okay, but we're going to streamline this a little bit. So, I'm going to talk about, first of all, 5 useful self-help tips how to change your identity, because we don't need to dance around the subject. We all can look up anything that we want about identity, about everything. Why do you need me to talk about it, you know? So I want to obviously have a little bit of a discussion about identity, but then dive deep into how to change your identity. Then we're going to jump into a philosophize with me segment, which means we're going to look at one quote about the subject and philosophize about it together. Isn't that fun? Then I'm going to be reacting to a video that also has something to do about this topic, and it's going to be a TikTok video, I think. And then I'm going to leave you with an interesting intuitive question, because the most important guide, why am I doing this? Yeah, the most important guide that you have in your life is yourself. So I want to leave you with an intuitive question you can ask yourself about this topic to help yourself when this podcast episode is over. So let's begin with the 5 self-help tips. Changing your identity is not something that is supposed to be difficult, I believe. You know why? Because we're the one choosing those identities. The only time changing your identity becomes complicated is when people put too much meaning on how they are being now, but also because they put so many layers over who they are. They don't create any room for themselves to actually change within that. It's like your comfort zone. It's basically your comfort zone. And your comfort zone doesn't have to feel comfortable, but it does feel what is known. So let's call it your familiar zone, right? Your familiar zone, you know the pains, you know the predictable future, and you keep creating the predictable future, what you created from your predictable past, right? So it's easy for your mind to just focus on that because it has been for so long, and that's how it keeps creating this identity and therefore creating this personality. And we all know from Dr. Joe Dispenza that your personality creates your personal reality. So what is within is also without, blah, blah, blah. We already know this, right? So the first tip, the first thing you have to do by changing your self-image, also, little book recommendation, Psycho-Cybernetics is all about changing your image. Buy it. It's like one of the best books you'll ever read. Okay, first of all, I want you to take stock of who you are now, right? This basically means, okay, looking at yourself objectively, like you are not you are just a person that is living and you become the observer of that person. When you do that, fucking get out a journal and go write about all the things that you identify with who you are being, what you believe, the most important things. And look at them, observe them objectively. It's not about, because this is what our minds like to do, right? We look at something and we immediately attach an opinion at it. We immediately have to think something about it because that's what we are learning. That's what we're doing every single day. We are looking at the news, we are looking at social media, and we are forming our opinions constantly about these things. What we don't do is we look, or we just are in situations, we let people react the way that they react. And have you ever experienced someone just not thinking anything about it, or maybe when that person leaves, you and the other person start immediately talking about what you think about it. What if we just don't do that, or just put that aside for now? Leave the gossiping, leave the judging there, leave the thinking mind there. Just look at what is happening. So now look at yourself and say, okay, what is this person doing? What does this person believe? What are these person's limits? What do they believe that their limits are? Without attaching yourself to it personally. You have nothing to do with this persona, because that's actually all it is. Your self-image is just your avatar here on earth. But most people have not so good of a self-image because they believe more of the negative things about themselves than the positive things that maybe other people would see in them, or maybe you would see in a friend and be very positive about them. But when it comes to yourself, you completely are not objective. You are negative and you think the worst of yourself. And keep in mind the way that we, most of all of us actually, I do this too, the way that we speak about ourselves. I just did it. We speak in terms of, I speak about myself, like that I am mean to myself. So this basically implies that you are different from that persona that is your self-image, right? So become that I that is talking about the self-persona, or that looks to the self, or the persona or the self-image. Become that person for a little while. See how that feels and take stock of who you are. This is great coffee, man. It's the toffee nut coffee from Starbucks in a little mug. I like it. And, you know, I made it mine at home. Are you making it yours at home? So, we have taken stock of who our self-persona is. Not self-persona, who our self-image, what our self-image is like, who this persona is. And now, you're going to look at those things and you're going to choose who you want to be. So, why did I let you take stock of who you were just to choose who you want to be? This is because identification sometimes leads to clarity, but too much identification in things leads to limits, right? So sometimes to change who we currently are, we need to know what we're changing. We need to know what we're battling up against, right? We need to know why that person was the way that they were. Still speaking, like there are two of you, right? Let that sink in, please. That's not the real you. And you are allowed to not focus on that and to move away from that person every single time that you look at yourself. You are allowed to just not care about what that person believes because you're different, right? Just think of the persona, the self-image, as all the thoughts that that person has. Think of yourself as different from that. So who do you want to be? You might probably want to be the opposite of what that person is doing, okay? But once you return to that person, what you're left with is this continuous disbelief in that person. It's because you're not looking at that person from who you actually are. You're looking at that person from their standpoint, their point of view. And this is what Bashar likes to say. We are aware of a body, of a persona, of a self-image, of something that is outside of us. We are not that body. We are not that body. We are not that, T-H-A-T body. We are not that person, right? Once you step away from that, you'll feel a relief of worries, beliefs, everything negative that that person holds and believes to be true for them. This might even last a millisecond, but it's enough to tell you that you are not that person. So, by choosing who you want to be, go all out. Don't have any limits, please. Because the Starbucks siren will not be happy if you do. Why did I do that? Write down 10 things you want and don't put limits on it. So okay, for an example, let's do something crazy that I want, right? I want to make 1,000 euros a day. I want to live by the beach in the city that I want. I want to live by the beach, in the forest and next to the beach. I want to have a great career. I want to be a YouTuber. I want to be a writer. I have 3 book ideas that I want to publish with the best publisher. I want to travel the world. Do I want to travel the world? I want to go to the Maldives and have a working holiday there. I want to take my whole family on vacation and then buy a good pet sitter for my pet so she's not alone. And I want this vacation to be like expensive. Like, oh my God, this is what I want. You know that TV show Below Deck? I want to charter a yacht with my family. And that's what I want to do. Okay, so these things are crazy, right? They're very out of reach. So write that down. That's what you want. But this also can be, it doesn't have to be things, right? And I don't want you to think that, oh, what if I write things down? Is that not then a reflection of who I want to be? Well, like everything, I don't like when people say that everything's separate. Of course, it's a reflection of who you want to be. Do you really think that the person, if I charter a yacht, did the light not go out? Or I just moved my arm so it looked as if, okay, it doesn't matter. Do you really think that a person that's chartering a yacht, do you think that that's this version of me right now? When I charter a yacht, I presume that I'm very different when I do. So you intuitively know that that person who's going to charter that yacht one day has a buttload of money, has a great career, and that's all then part of a new self-image. But you can also write down, okay, so things that I currently believe that I do not have yet. 100% of a belief within myself. Singing. I want to sing. So that means that I am not afraid to sing in public. Okay, that could be a quality. So like public speaking, public singing, same quality. That's the quality that I want to have. So confidence. I want to... what do I want more? I want to have a healthy body. So I've always been eating healthy. That could be is that a quality? I don't know, like a healthy mindset. And I don't want to overindulge in alcohol and foods anymore. So like, I think at one point I had an eating disorder, like a binge eating disorder, really badly. I don't want to have that anymore. Like, I don't know. Those are the kind of things you see that I automatically go to things that I want to have. And that's not because that's most important, but that's just the direct consequence of being someone new. I think when people say too, like, oh, but you can't manifest things. You can only manifest good things for other people or things about yourself you need to change. No. This is what I mean by this is why I am incorporating an intuitive question for yourself at the end of this podcast. You are your own guide. You are the person that you're going to turn to when things are going to hit the fan, right? Okay, what everybody else is saying, if you don't want that to be true, then it's not true for you. Like, don't pay any attention to that if you believe in your heart, wholeheartedly, that you might want to earn maybe 1,000 euros or dollars a day, and when someone says, "Oh, but that's not love. That's out of greed." Okay, so this is also a great thing about the universe. Do you know what the universe rule is underneath everything? Do you know why? This is the reason why murderers can manifest anything they want. Rapists, everyone. I don't like to also censor the word rapist or sexually assault. Why are we afraid of words? First of all, second of all, third of all, who cares? Blah, blah, blah. But this is why criminals can manifest too. It's because what's the law, the greatest law of this universe? It's something called unconditional love. And do you know what signifies unconditional love? That it's unconditional. If we were to be good beings and give to others and be for others and never be selfish. That's greedy. Oh no, don't do that. If that were the truth, then that would be conditional. That's still conditional. You're putting conditions on actions and on how people should be. That's not the law of the universe. That's not how the universe works, right? Obviously, don't kill someone. But if you would want to do that, that's up to you because it's unconditional. There's no hell either. But I think that you are a person with common sense. You know not to do that, right? But when people say that, oh, you have to be you have to be love. The only real reason about giving and then getting it back tenfold is because giving, it feels so good. When you are not, Jesus, that was a fucking speech. When you are not being held back by beliefs that giving to someone else means that they take from you. This is what most narcissists believe too. And what people like I believe this too, because I thought at one point that I was lagging behind everyone, you know? So that means that I was comparing myself and I was really unhappy when someone would get their success because I didn't have mine, because I thought that their success had something to do with me. But when you're not limited by that belief, giving results in getting, not because of the giving, but I mean, this could be anything, any action. But giving feels so good. But don't listen to those people who say that, oh, you can only do this and this because this is good and you're bad if you do this. No, shut up. You are your best guide. Don't listen to them. Done. Tip number 3. Identifying what needs to change. Okay, so you have now identified who you want to be. Now take that look back at that self-image, that persona. Identify what needs to change to be another person. I feel like I'm a rapper, but I am not. So you're going to identify what needs to change. This could be in the form of actions, but this also could be in the form of just thinking differently, right? This is about, again, being honest with yourself. Look at yourself without feeling, right? Like I said in tip number 1. And because sometimes when I wanted to change myself, I get pulled back into this feeling, but I can't because I'm not good enough. Oh, but I can't because I've never done this before. That's something that you want to avoid. And how you do that? By not avoiding it at all. The paradox is real again, right? So people like to avoid their feelings, especially when they don't feel good, which is understandable. Who wants to feel bad? No one. So totally get it. But what that results to, or what that does, is it just stacks up more. So you're just pushing it down, and you know that whatever you resist persists, right? So that means it's got when the next time that you're being triggered by that, it's going to explode. And it's going to result in you being depressed, having a depressive episode, or doing something that destroys you, or that is destructive to someone else. Fights, arguments. Feelings need to go somewhere. Feelings, emotions, thoughts, actions too. They're all forms of energy. They're all expressions of you. That's why they're all connected, and they're all each other's language. That's why language is literally an expression of thoughts and feelings. Isn't that beautiful, actually? But you need to identify what needs to change in order to change it. Not always, though. This is where you come in again. You are your best guide. This doesn't always comes in because sometimes I just change something overnight, okay? Nothing changes overnight, but the momentum has picked up over a period of time. And then it changes suddenly because you are ready for it. You're ready to move to that other person, that other self-image of yourself. That's, oh my God, I changed overnight. No, you didn't, because it's like all energy. So everything is in a sort of, like Abraham Hicks says, in a vortex where it's all stored, right? And that's why it sometimes feels like, oh my God, I'm changing overnight. But sometimes that happens, okay? And I'm not here to say that you should respond to every feeling the same, because some things are have a greater gravity than others do. So maybe you want to change how you view yourself as a person. And maybe you're just ready for that. And then you affirm for a week like crazy and you're that other person. And maybe you want to change yourself, how you view yourself as a person, and you're not ready for that. And you go to a psychologist and it takes a few months and then you change. Like, just identify what needs to change in order for you to become that person. It's not about how to do it. It's just about gaining clarity and look at yourself objectively through the eyes of the I that you are, not the eyes of the person. That is the thoughts and the feelings and the circumstances within the I. I don't know if you're going to believe me what just fucking happened, but I fucking intuitively knew that the camera was gonna stop recording because I said my last sentence, I went to the camera and then it said, stopped recording because your card is full. Oh my God. Whoa. Whoa. Oh my God. Oh my. Are you kidding me? I just knew that. Now that you've identified what needs to change, what could be tip number 4? I don't know. Maybe taking action upon it? Yes. Taking action upon your mental diet, so your thinking and your doing. What does this new self-image look like? Okay? So, but you're like, yeah, but okay, so I'm 2 people, right? I'm this self-image and I'm this persona, or I'm the self-image and I'm this I, this spiritual, eternal I that I'm always. I mean, why can't I just be that? I don't know, you can. Why don't you? Is this fucking lighting too bright? Because I think it is. Why can't I just be this eternal I who's high on life? Nobody's stopping you. You can. But sometimes it's easier to be on Earth. To go from A to Z is entirely possible. And you can do it. No one is stopping you. Move to the 4D. Move through the eye of the needle. Go to the new Earth. Be who you want to be. Most people just don't, because they still believe that the things that's holding them back is serving them somehow. And this is what I recently thought about too. What if, because we can only have a reaction to something if we believe that it serves us somehow. If we believe something about that thing, we believe that to be true. So I believe I am worthless. How is that serving me? Your logical mind will say that's not serving you. You're worthless. It doesn't feel good to feel worthless. You're holding yourself back from opportunities that you would otherwise take. How is it serving you? Well, who's saying that it's serving you positively, that it needs to serve you positively? What if you believe something so much, so very much, it's become part of your personality, your self-image, your identity, that it's just serving you because you truly believe that that is you? Who says that it needs to serve you in a positive way? So I do not feel comfortable in who I am. How is that serving me? What is the expression of that? I don't form meaningful relationships. How is that serving me? It protects me from potential hurt. But who says it needs to have a positive, protect you from potential hurts, a positive serving? Who says that? What if I just believe that I am worthless? And that is, what is that doing to me? It's protecting me from nothing, actually, because it doesn't have a logical reason. And that's kind of how you come out of that belief. But what if I just believe that? Believing that means that I'm comfortable in my own little bubble that's saying you're worthless. And I believe that. And that's serving me. Is that right? Or does that debunk my whole point that it does need to serve you something, but it does need to be positive? I don't know anymore. Sorry for this tangent, but we're going to take action upon thinking and upon doing. You're going to ask yourself, how does this person think? How does this person act? Easier said than done, though. You know why? Because you're going to revert back to your wavering, your complaining, and your excuses. Why do I know this? Because I did. I do this too. Right? Everything I say is my personal experience. It doesn't reflect on anybody, and it doesn't need to reflect anything on you, okay? We're totally different people. Don't take this personally. This is not about that. This is about what most people do because I do it, and what I do, most people do. That's not true, but a lot of people do this. A lot of people waver. This is why taking action and upon thinking and doing is very important. So to close that gap, right, between this is who I am now, this is who I want to be. How'd you do that? Well, we go to tip number 5. You don't waver and you do it consistently. This is where effort comes in. But what if you're like, I still believe all of the things about myself that are holding me back? Well, then you go back to tip number 1. You take stock of who you are again. Then you go back to tip number 2, or you go to tip number 2 is choosing who you want to be. Then you go to tip number 3 again, you identify what you want to change. And then you take action upon that thinking and doing. You know what it's about? It's not about doing it right the first time, right? It's not about following all these tips, never wavering, and never think things that you don't want to think again, right? That's not human. It's not something that is... It is achievable, but it's not something that you should strive for, to doing it perfectly in one go. The reason I put the tips in this order is because you can go back to step number 1, then do it again. You're going to feel your way through this. You're going to follow these tips and you're going to feel different things. Always. Really hot. Sorry. Thank you. I'm really hot. Core thing about changing your self-image is allowing yourself to change in who you want to change into. There's no limits to you. These tips are to help you realize that there are 2 of you, and identification with the person, your avatar, that's in this simulation right now. And I don't mean by evil people, I just mean by yourself. We're all playing an avatar in order to experience, in order to, I don't know, everyone has their own reasons why they came to Earth. It's just realizing that within all of those limits, there lies a lot of expansion. It's realizing that it's just a persona and it's not who you are. And it don't mean that you need to now discover who you are. I mean that you need to realize what you want to be. That's okay. It's I think quite a new concept for a lot of people to just believe that they can be anything that they want. And also when I say these profound things that make sure that, or that can help people profoundly change, it doesn't mean that the lesson that lies beneath all those things is not extremely simple, right? The lessons are always extremely simple. The middle, the messy middle, is where it gets complicated, and we like to complicate things, right? Does this mean that you can become anything that you want? Yes. So why does it feel like you can't? That's because you've been focusing on this self-image for a long time. You believe that to be you. But if you go back to the other persona, or the eternal I, you come to find out that I has no identification yet. The person here on Earth has identification. Who you are, it's something that we don't know. It's something that we can find out one day, but it's something that is, I guess, now not important. It's now about that I. But it's also about being kind to yourself. Why am I believing this for so many years to be true about myself? Do I really need to believe this to be true about myself? Right? Is it really necessary for me to think like this? Isn't it just something that is temporary? Yes, this is something that is temporary. So wouldn't I then be able to change something temporary into anything that I want? Right? That's changing your self-image. It's allowing yourself to be who you want to be without focusing too much on the limits that your persona now has. It's about taking stock, removing yourself objectively from that persona and saying, what is it that I actually want? Without returning to this bubble that's full of limits and full of things that you do not want. And ask yourself, is it now purposeful? Does it have any purpose for me to just keep believing that? Or is it just something that I know? It's a known and it's familiar and it's comfortable. Ask yourself that. Right. Let's go to the next segment, which is Philosophize with me. One of my favorite quotes ever by Rabindranath Tagore, right? It is very simple to be happy, but it's very difficult to be simple. When you think about the universe in terms of what is it, why are we here, what should we do, what is the focus point that is good for us, how do we change the world, blah, 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 blah. It's all very difficult, isn't it? And how does this have anything to do with your self-image? Well, your self-image doesn't need to be a difficult and sufferable journey that you take in order to change yourself. Sorry, I'm a bit stiff or sore here. Need to be this climb up to the mountain, and there are so many obstacles, and you're bum 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 bum. Ow. It doesn't need to be that. So it's such a misconception about the basics of the universe, which I just told you is unconditional love, basically. And it's to feel good about yourself and what you're doing, and it's to actually just stop the thinking mind. So the ego that's saying all this, blah, blah, you're this, you're that. And when you literally stop thinking, the suffering also stops. So, why do people suffer when they're ill? Is it because of the pain, or is it because of the thought of the pain? You know, you had a protest once by monks. I don't know when it was, why it was. But you have this famous picture of a monk who's on fire. He gained so much clarity by putting himself on fire that he didn't even feel the fire. So don't set yourself on fire now, because I would assume that you know not to do that. But think about that. That is this self-image and is this journey to who I want to be, is this really something that should be difficult, or is it just because it's very difficult for people to be simple once in a while? Not once in a while, always. I think that people say, oh, we need to do this in order to change the world. We need to do this to solve this problem. I don't think that things that are that difficult have difficult solutions. I always like to say that the most difficult answers have the easiest, the most difficult questions have the easiest answers. And I just stick by that. So I don't want you to think that your life and this journey to your preferred self-image should be something that is hard and struggle-like. It only becomes difficult because we either believe it to be difficult, we believe that it's very difficult to get rid or to let go of the beliefs that we believe. We believe that it's very hard and a long self-help journey, and we have to see a psychologist our entire lives, and we suffer from anxiety. Those are all things that this self-image is creating, right? Nothing exists out of that. Nothing actually exists out of your self-image apart from you. Because spiritual people, Bashar says this, Abraham Hicks says this, they all say that you have, Abraham Hicks likes to call it your inner being, and Bashar says that it's your higher mind, right? So you have the I that you're always connected to and that you return back to. This is what Dolores Cannon said. You return back to that in your dreams at night, and you always talk to people, guides and stuff, but you don't remember it because when you come here, you don't, you have to learn everything again. So if you would remember everything, you wouldn't have anything to learn, blah, 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 blah. But, so that's why you exist from blah, 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 your self-image. Okay, blah, 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 too many things going on in my head. Your self-image creates the world. How you view the world through your eyes is what you will see, okay? So, why does it need to be so difficult to just change that? That's where all of these tips come in again. You take stock of who you are. You choose who you want to be. You identify what needs to change. You take action upon thinking and upon doing. And you don't waver and you stay consistent, right? It doesn't need to be hard. We just like to make it difficult because that's what we're just used to doing that. You know, when we then go to that self-image, say, oh no, but it's difficult because my life has this and people say this and I've been through this. So is that a reason, or is that just an excuse to just not think like this other person because you're familiar with that? That's what you know. That's what you've always known. That's what you've always done. Is that it? Okay, so are you done now? Let's move to that other person now, that other part of your self-image, that's also just a temporarily being that is here, that you get to experience things through, right? And just remember this, why am I experiencing all these? Why am I having the same problems again and again? Spiritual people like to say that we came here with the idea of exploring a few themes in my life, in our lives. I mean, I think that a theme in my life is personal power, personal, like believing in yourself and stuff, doing things, having a lot of ideas, but sometimes finding it difficult to push through with them and to just believe in myself. I think that's a theme. People pleasing, I was people pleased for all of my life. So that was a theme that I am encountering every single time, actually, and every single day. So I know that I'm exploring that theme. So that's why probably you have made some kind of agreement to say, okay, so I want to learn this on earth. So I'm going to see these obstacles and work through them, blah, blah, blah. Like, it doesn't need to be hard, but that's probably a reason why you still have those problems. But you still have those problems because you keep identifying with those problems. So let's take the word difficult out of our vocabulary. It's gone. Can't say it anymore, can't think it anymore, and just choose to move to that other personality at any pace that is comfortable for us, that it just becomes easy, breezy, beautiful, right? Right. Next segment is reacting to a video.
And your personality creates your personal reality. So it means then, if you want to change your personal reality, your life, that means you got to change your personality. You got to start thinking about what you've been thinking about and change it. You got to become conscious of your unconscious habits and behaviors and modify them. And then you have to look at certain emotions that keep you anchored to the past and ask the most important question. Do these emotions belong in my future? And the problem with those survival emotions is they're like a narcotic. They're like a drug. They give the brain and body a rush of energy. And people over time become addicted to the very rush of those survival chemicals. And they use the people and problems in their life and in their past to reaffirm their addiction to that emotion. That means they need the bad job, they need the poor relationship, they need the bad memories because it makes them feel something. So then,
even though it's not a good feeling,
that means they become addicted to the life they don't even like. And this is why change is so hard.
Okay, so that video we just watched about Dr. Joe Dispenza, he has this beautiful saying that your personality creates your personal reality. And it's also the way, the other way around. And this is how people live. They feel like their personal reality is creating their personality. So they are, in easy terms, just focused too much on the 3D conditions that they encounter every day. So they let themselves be identified by that, like, I have this job, I have this much money, I have a relationship with, not thinking about the actual self-image that or not thinking about the you who you actually are and identifying too much with the things around you. And therefore also losing the ability to completely maybe reassemble your self-image because you're like, oh, but I have these 3D conditions that are so in my face all the time that I just don't know how to believe otherwise. And this is a very understandable way that most people live their lives by, because it means to literally just throw everything that you once knew in the bin. And it's to say, I am bigger than my environment. I am greater than my environment. I can choose to be whomever I want to be. To do that, it takes immense, not only courage, but also an immense awareness of maybe an objective awareness, right? Like, you are the I, and this is the self-image that has been created, but it's not who I am. It's just an avatar that is identified with its environment, and it's living the experiences and feeling the feelings and thinking the thoughts through the environment. But I want to do it differently now. I want to create my self-image from who I am, not the environment around me. And the reason that we feel so addicted to or familiar and comfortable in our zone is because the whole Like when you read Dr. Joe Dispenza's book for the first time, it completely changes your mind because you realize that everything, every feeling, every emotion that you have, it generates a chemical reaction in your body. So when you feel stress, it lowers, I think, your immune system, and you're more susceptible to disease. That's how powerful your thoughts and your feelings are, right? I mean, you even have a test. I don't know if I have something heavy, but maybe this. Okay, so you have something. If you, how the fuck did it go? But it, like, the premise was you lift something heavy and you say, I hate myself, I hate myself, I hate myself. You can feel yourself becoming weaker. And when you say, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself, you can feel yourself becoming stronger. That's how, I don't know if I just demonstrated it right, but that's how big the influence of your thoughts is to your outer reality, right? This is also something to remember, that everything is interconnected with each other. So everything that you think, everything that you do, everything that you feel, even things you talk about with other people, has this direct influence over everything that you live, right? You have immense power to change your self-image into something that you want. It's not just like, oh, I have this much money, I've had this many partners in bed, I look this way, and I have never gone to school and get my degree. No way, it turned Southern. So that's why I'm the way that I am. And it is the way that it is. And it's all good. But it's not all good because I don't feel good. That's not life. That's an excuse. God damn it. So this video is very powerful because it not only summarizes the disbelief in power that people have, but also the importance of the feelings and the thoughts. So the action-based things that you're going to do if you follow these 5 tips, the consequences of those feelings and of those thoughts in your body, how easy it is for your body to think, your body thinks that everything that you think is real. So if you think that you hate yourself constantly, that's the reality that you're going to create, right? So stay consistent, do not waver. And just see everything and when you are wavering, just see everything as an excuse and not part of your personality anymore. Oh, I want to give you an additional quote though. Okay, so this is from Tony Robbins. I know this, I think, from the top of my head. Change happens when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of changing. Do you know what that means? It means that when you feel so bad staying the same person that you always were, so you eat unhealthy, you don't do the things for your online business, you don't make YouTube videos, you don't respond to that audition or that casting call, or you, I don't know, don't hunt for jobs because you wanted this cool office job, you don't study as a software and an engineer, right? When the pain is so big and then you feel more demotivated and paralyzed and procrastinating yourself, or you're procrastinating more, that's the pain of staying the same. And if that pain is so big, then you know you're ready for change, basically. Okay, so let's end this episode with an interesting intuitive question. So this is the intuitive question I want to leave you with. Who am I being this person for? Right now, who am I being this person for? This is to hopefully motivate you that if you are a version of yourself that you do not like, ask yourself, who am I doing this for? Am I doing this for me? Well, no, because it don't feel good, right? Am I doing this for my parents? Maybe, but does it feel good? No. And why am I doing this for them? Why should I live for someone else? Is their expectation of me more important than my happiness? Right? So that's the question I want to leave you with. Question yourself from time to time, right? Don't just do things and think that just because you have been doing them, that you have to keep doing them. You can change your self-image any moment because you're not that self-image. You're apart from that. You're not apart from that. Apart is you're different from that. Like, you're separate from that. Apart in Dutch. Apart, like the Southern African word apartheid. Apart, we use apart. Apart, not apart from, off. Not a part of is better translation. But like, you're different, right? You can create anything that you want, anything. It's just not true what you've been feeding yourself, right? You can do anything that you want. So who am I being this way for? Who am I being this person for? Is it really for me? Do I like to suffer as that person, as that persona? That's what I move myself. No, I don't, because it feels bad. It's easy, right? When you say it like this, it's easy. All my problems are not real and like excuses. Yes, they are. But that's okay, because you learn a lot from them, right? Nothing is without reason. And not just with the good things, or not just with the bad things, also with the good things. Everything's for a reason. Everything is synchronistically agreed upon and aligned in a way that you can get anything out of it. But you assign the meaning to it. You decide what that meaning is. I hope you like this episode about self-image. Know that we, my team and I, are going to, this is my team and I, we are going to do more episodes like this because it's fun. It's better organized. And I hope that you can take just a lot away from this and not just be watching me talking. And I'll see you in the next episode or the next video. Bye bye.